Good afternoon and welcome to another in our program, our Talk Sports program, Saturday Sports Special, where we speak with the movers and shakers of sports, sportsmen, sportswomen, sports administrators, coaches, just about everyone involved in sports. And on today's program, this weekend's program, we'll be going all over the place. We'll be talking about athletics, we'll be talking about football, we'll be talking about sports in general, a little bit of, I said track and field. Yeah, just about everything will be dipping and dabbing. Let me welcome you once again to our program. It's always a pleasure being with you and having a program, even if it's from a remote location. By the way, don't mind me wearing, showcasing my affinity to my champion club. But, as you know, today is the final Champions League final will be taking place today. Inter Milan. Well, let me start correctly. It's Manchester City versus Inter Milan, right? And all eyes will be on Champions League because it brings to an end the whole foray over whether or not Manchester City will take the treble, winning the Premier League, the FA, and possibly the Champions League. It's around 3 o'clock Eastern time, kickoff. For those of you who close to a television, it will be live on CBS, okay? CBS will be your main go-to station. Okay, and then also there's the big talk around town these days regarding football is whether it's about Lionel Messi and his move to the MLS, Major League Soccer in the United States. It came as a surprise for many, especially those who follow Spanish League, the Barcelona in particular. A lot of folks hoping that he would have gone to Saudi Arabia. In fact, there were so many bids out there for Messi. I didn't know that there were so much billions of dollars in football, for one man. Nevertheless, he has decided to move to, Miami and play in Major League Soccer. I assume that is part of his retirement plan. Okay. However, what we'll do, I think the dust have settled now and things are a little bright. So we want to head over to Canada. As you know, over the past few days in particular, the Canadians have been affecting the Americans in a way not really familiar with. That is because of the wildfire in Canada and all parts of Canada from east to west. Parts of the United States have been blanketed by, fog. Well, yeah, the mist, the remnants of the wildfire, the smoke. And there was, some indication that the youth championship may not have taken place. But we'll go over live to a man over in Ottawa. That's Rudy and Silva, our co-host. And he will let us know what is happening over there. Rudian?
Yes, Michael, that was a pleasure to see you. Pleasure to be with you and your listeners, talking sports. Yes, we are out here. We got the green light from Thursday morning, late Wednesday night, that the games is going to be on at the high school technical championship. So this is what's happening for the past few days. And the crowd is, mixed crowd because, you can still get a smell of the smoke being closer to that part. Even being in Toronto, we could have smelled the smoke too. Um, but like I said, the game is on and everything is doing well. Just watching now the heats of the 200 meter women's heats going on right now. So I'll just once they finish calling the names, I'll just give you guys a glimpse. In the meantime, you guys can see the crowd because of the phone. I have to turn it around.
Not a bad crowd.
Not at all. It's pretty good. It's been good. It's been this way for the past few days.
Well, and
Um,
especially because there were these bulletins warning people about being outdoor.
yes, yes,
It's good
yes.
to see all these folks being out there, right?
No, most definitely, and it's always been a challenge, and that was the challenge too. But now, like I said, we certainly got the okay and seeing the crowd coming out now. So we have a full start happening right there, and it's
For
been
the,
good.
all right,
We had
and for those who are looking, exactly where are you in Ottawa?
we are basically downtown. We are almost in the university called the Terry Fox Stadium. So I mean, if you walk 20 minutes, you could be in the heart of the downtown where the capital is. So it's pretty close. And it's I've been up here many times, but last night we actually took a drive out in the city, and it's like that's the first time I've been like I see the whole capital. They say it's amazing to be out here. And I
Hmm.
said I do have to come back again,
Right.
and take a trip because sometimes you miss out on the good things that these countries have to offer. So it was really beautiful being around, even seeing the capital of any country, even Washington D.C. So it was good to go see the White House. It's a monument. So something good. So just give you a glimpse again of 200 meters as they come around.
Also, they actually on the track. Okay, and that's the youth championship, Rudy. And so
Yeah.
so they will qualify for for selection on the
Nationals.
national,
Yeah,
right?
national team, and he'll be part of that too. So even some of them are qualifying for the New Balance outdoor meets too. That's in New Jersey, New York, New Jersey. So from here, I think is next weekend. Most of the kids here who qualify, who choose to go, will also be going down for that meet as well. So it's been good. We had a record that was set in 1986 in the senior girls long jump was broken today. The second jump, the young lady went 16. The record was 16, was 6:16. The young lady went 6:19. So it's been that's many years. This record been there. Almost what almost 30 years. This record been sitting there and it was broken. So it's really good to see that like the kids are performing well. Competition is still there. And like you said, it's not only here; it's all over. Kids are, doing what they have to do, right? Competition is very high. So, we see what's happening in the Caribbean, we see what's happening in Europe. The kids are, the talent is out there. It's just have to be guided in the right way and put it on the world stage.
Okay. Good afternoon to you, Hazel. Good afternoon to you. Always part
Hey,
of
Hazel, how are you doing?
team. And Coco Shot, Kelvin, Hector. Good afternoon, blessings. And congratulations, Coco Shot, on your team Happy Hill making it into the Premier League. Ah, boy, Premier League football for you. They will be facing Premier League football. It has been quite a while they have not been in the Premier League. And it's good to see that your hard work is paying off, Coco Shot. So, and this is coming, the Youth Championship is coming ahead of the Senior Championships taking place either
Yes,
late June
later
or
on,
early.
and we still will have next month also the junior championship. So that's not even on yet. So they
So you
also have
have
the
the
junior
youth,
championship,
the
the
junior,
junior
and the senior.
and the senior, yeah. And they tend to collaborate the junior and the senior together.
Right.
And then yeah, so it's pretty. And then they have another one called the Legions, which is like the military. The Legions, they also have a big meet that they also put together as well. So yeah, it's quite a lot of competition in the summertime
Right,
taking
right,
place.
right. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good to
indeed,
hear.
that's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we have another one going on.
yeah.
So we see if we can get it. There's before.
And
And again, you can see, like I said, the crowd is in it, the family is here, the teams are here.
yeah,
It's amazing to see and it's fully sponsored by Nike.
right.
And you see the Nike stuff all over. Plus, they have Nike swag selling with the they put the logo on it and they're selling the
Yeah.
stuff.
And,
I think they almost sold out on a lot of stuff already. So yeah.
and the kids who are running, they come from all over Canada.
All over Ontario.
Oh, Ontario. Okay, so just the
Ontario,
province.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just a province, yeah, all over Ontario. So, and it's pretty good. Like I said, they're coming from all the way up north because Thunder Bay to from Toronto is 24 hours driving. So it's they're coming from quite far, so it's kind of good to be here. And even from living in Toronto to come up here is about 6 hours, 5 hours based on how you drive. So it's good. Like I said, it's good to be out here. It's fun. I'm exhausted. I've been on
I
this
know.
country Wednesday. I'm exhausted.
Well, I know.
Currently ready to get home.
So
Yeah.
what we will do, I'll give you a little rest for a week and probably check back with you a little later to see if we can get something again. Okay?
No, definitely. I'll be here, so I will touch base. This will be in a little while.
Okay then. Thanks very much.
All right.
Yeah.
No problem. All right.
Okay then. So there you had it, folks. That's Rudy and live in to Ottawa, the the youth championships taking place, and no doubt bringing us some live feed, a live feed, I should say, from there. Once again, yes. So I going back to Hector, Kelvin Hector, Coco Shot. Good afternoon to you, and I want to say congratulations to the teams who have qualified or been promoted to top level football in Grenada. And I know Happy Hill FC is one of those that will be playing Premier League football. I know you folks have gone through quite a bit, the challenges you have faced, and no doubt I am certain that as coach, that's Coco Short, and as the players, you all are ready for the challenge ahead. Let me know if that's true. Certainly, I'm looking forward to hearing good things about you folks. Just to let you know, the NCAA Outdoor Championships taking place. We have 3 Grenadian athletes, that Division 1, by the way. As mentioned, we have Gamali Felix, who competed in the 400 meters and also, he also in the semifinals of the 4x4. He did not run in the final of the 4x4. Their team, though, finished second in the 4x4 last evening. Gamali finishing 8th overall in the 400 meters, the final of the 400 meters that actually took place last evening, and he finished in a time of 40, if I get it right, was I'm getting the time here for you, 45.34 seconds. Although his best time, he ran a personal best in the preliminaries, but he finished 8th, 45.34. First time into the final of the 400 meters, and that was the first Grenadian since Kirani James. And, well, yes, Kirani, but then we also had Aline Francique and others, but Kirani would have been the last who would have Grenadian who have competed in the final of 400 meters at the NCAA. Yeah, folks like Aline Francique and others before his time, though, also were there, blazing the trail. Then there's also Johnny Thomas, who is in she competed in the women's long jump, and she's also in the heptathlon. Currently, she is in 13th position, 397 points away from, okay, I'll come back to that. Thank you for that correction. Yeah, 397 points away from the leader, okay, Johnny Thomas. She's on 3,443 points, and the leader is on 3,840 points. Well, 3 more events. I hope I have it right. On Saturday, yeah, we have 3 events remaining: the long jump, the javelin, and the 800 meters. And hopefully, she can get into the medal round. It's a big challenge, 397 points. It seems as if it's not a lot. It's quite a lot because it depends on those ahead of you, their placing and the points as well. Okay, but we rooting for Johnny Thomas in the women's heptathlon. She is in 13th position, currently in 13th position, and some 397 points away from the leader. And then we also have competing today in the women's discus throw. We have Jamara Alves. She is in the women's discus. The women's discus coming up on, let me see the time they have for it, somewhere in the evening. Well, the program is an evening program. So it is 7:35 p.m. Eastern time, or or Central. Let me see if it's Central time. If that is Central time, then it will be actually 8:35 8:35 p.m. Eastern time. Women's discus final. Okay, so that's it. Okay, going back to the whole issue of the 400 meters. Well, Joel, yes, but I think Joel, you were before Karate. Okay, so they're speaking about since Karate James. So Joel also competed in the final of the 400 meters. I know there were others who competed. I mentioned Aline Francis, but there was also Joel. And by the way, Joel actually competed for Arizona State University. That's where our good friend Gamali Felix is. So it's a tradition with the Arizona guys. Joel Phillip, yeah, competed in the final of the 400 meters. He was before the Kirani Jane factor. So no doubt. Thank you very much, Joel. Kelvin, yes. Let me see. Kelvin is saying, yes, Mike, thank you. We're looking forward to the start of the season. Hopefully this will help us get some young players to come and play with us. I'm hoping so too as well, you know. I noticed, Kelvin, that I saw a photo. I don't know if it's a recent photo of your players, but I find the guys are looking young as well, you know. I don't know if it's a recent photo, but I'm hoping too that you can that promotion can spur more young guys to the team, and not just to the team, because we have this problem, and you know that is the problem you have had over the years. You have been with Happy Hill FC for a lot, well, Ball Dogs, Happy Hill, all these, you know, for many years. Go way back to, you know, since I was on Scott Street, I can say, with Radio Grenada at the time. By the way, Coco Short was one of those guys that used to participate in our quiz, Brain of Sports quiz, you know. Yeah. And you know, the problem is guys don't want to train. So they don't come to train, but they want to play. And that's the problem. So I'm hoping that your elevation to the top tier of football in Grenada could spur the younger guys not just to come and play, but to train with the team. It's all well for that. Good afternoon, Theo. Good afternoon, Theo. By the way, Theo, did I hear you were in Brooklyn, New York, sometime recently to a graduation? We'll have a talk about that. We'll have a private talk. Good afternoon to you, Theo. No wonder you were missing for a while. Okay, yeah. So yeah, just let's stay on some little football, because it's good to know too that our men's national team is preparing to play Guyana in the preliminary of the Gold Cup, preliminary round football Gold Cup in Florida. Okay. And don't you know that the national team is already in Florida? I mean, this is the sort of things that we have always been calling for. And kudos to the Grenada Football Association in ensuring that the guys get there as a team, even those who fly out from England, wherever they came from, Belgium, and they are training as a team at least for a week. You know, that to me is what we need for our national, especially a team sport as football. Okay, football, cricket, whatever. You need to come together. You need to gel, especially when you have the guys from all over different places. So the coaching staff will be able to assess players, and you know, all these sort of things. They have a better appreciation, a better knowledge of the players and positions, and you know, all these sort of things. And hopefully we'll come up with the best playing 11 for the day of the game, you know. And I think that is what is needed. And kudos to the Grenada Football Association in ensuring that the team comes together an entire week, or a week and more, because they were there a few days before. And the game is not until next Saturday, the 17th. That to me is commendable. Uniting the team before big competitions. Yes, Hazel, that is important. Uniting the team for big competition. So, folks, for the next few minutes, I want you to listen and then we'll come back and discuss. Because, there have been a lot of talk in Grenada and a lot of progress, in fact, not just talk, but progress regarding the national sports policy. Don't you know that that is the same situation with Jamaica? There hasn't been, in fact, Jamaica has been speaking about the national sports policy since I can recall, since 2012, where we were at 2012. We were in London. Yeah. In fact, the current sports minister in Jamaica was an opposition member. She was the spokesperson. Well, here's the intriguing thing about it. She was the opposition spokesperson on youth sports, gender affairs, entertainment, and culture. That's Olivia Babsy-Grange. And she had criticized the current government at the time in delaying what they call a green paper on the national sports policy. And to quote here, how on earth could this government put on hold such an important document as the national sports policy on the eve of our participation at the London Olympics, she said, speaking in the recently concluded sectoral debate in the House of Representatives, right? By the way, this was August 12th of 2012. I recall that and I was able to go back into the archives and get that, because why? I recall I was in London at the time. I remember there was all this talk about, Jamaica and sports policy and blah, 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 and things like that. Remember? So she expressed her dismay to fellow parliamentarians, noting that the minister with responsibility for sports, Nita Headley, had promised in January that the policy was being reviewed and would be ready by June in time for the Summer Olympics. So remember, Olivia Babsy-Grange was the opposition spokesperson, right, at the time for sports. And the sports minister at the time, or the person with the minister with the responsibility for sports, was Nita Headley. Well, let's fast forward to how many years now? Yeah, many years. 10 and 13 years. Is it? Yeah. 11 years. Sorry, 11 years. So we fast forwarded to 11 years. The tide has turned, right? Because here what is happening now. The current Minister of Sports is now Olivia Babsy-Grange, who 11 years ago was the opposition. And the opposition spokesman on sports is now Natalie, who was then the minister. So in Parliament recently, there came an issue as it relates to the sports policy and all that has been happening with Jamaica in sports, etc., etc. And, again, politicians, they make a lot of promises, they make a lot of big talk and things like that. So, but sometimes, it's a real thing that matter, right? It's a real stuff that matter. And in a moment, I will get you some comments because there was a sectoral debate just recently, and the opposition spokesperson who was actually speaking about the whole issue of the sports policy and the whole issue of the stadium, because apparently the stadium in Jamaica is in serious disrepair, and there has been a lot of calls for something to be done about the stadium. Not so much the track per se, but I think it has to do a lot with the infrastructure. The infrastructure in particular, they want to get organized, because if Jamaica is to host international events, I think that in itself would be very important. But I want you to basically to listen to that, because they have been talking about a new sports act that has been proposed by the parliamentary opposition. So it's not just the government, but actually the opposition. So the proposal you hear in there now, in a moment, I'll play, is actually being proposed by the parliamentary opposition to give Jamaican athletes and clubs the chance to enhance the country's growth in the sports industry. But just remember, as I said, the opposition spokesperson was the Minister of Sports 11 years ago. And she is now proposing, well, what probably could have done, probably 11 years ago. Take a listen.
Sports can no longer be considered a luxury in this Jamaican society. It has set the pace. Sport has become the most tangible vehicle through which they can attain financial security for themselves and for their families. Some have gone on to become global superstars, the toast of any society in which they operate, to have established a successful legacy beyond their active years in their sport of choice. Some have not done so well, but all have enriched brand Jamaica immeasurably, providing more for our national identity than any other area of economic pursuit, especially within the last 25 years. Important investment to be made of athletes must consider the full 360 degree of the requirements to produce a successful athlete across any discipline in an intentional way, meeting their God-given talent with the nutritional, the infrastructural, the emotional, and the financial support. Usually comes from corporate sponsorship, who align themselves with the athlete either after them already boss or are on the verge of obvious success. We must look at the bigger picture. We must look at sports as more than just an event, beyond the specific event of a moment, a day, or a season. It is therefore no wonder, Madam Speaker, that the United Nations Health Organization and the World Bank have each designated sports as one of the pillars of society that has and can make significant contributions to the positive development of economic, educational, and health of any society. On the heels of a devastating pandemic, sport remained one of the champions on the world stage with respect to generating the same levels of revenue, sponsorship, and coverage as it had done prior, and had credible and in some cases outstanding performances from maybe one of the widest cross-section of athletes and events in recent times, and ended 2022 on a winning note. Madam Speaker, at home, we hosted the 49th Carifta Games, the Pan American Band for their second consecutive FIFA World Cup Football Championships, which will be hosted jointly by Australia and New Zealand from July 20th to August 20th, South Africa in July for the World Cup Netball. And of course, Madam Speaker, our talented team of athletes will grace the World Track and Field Championship stage in Budapest. Is a meeting of the national. Jamaica's sport industry is to maximize the outcomes. It's a good time for the investment in the flourishing sports business. I am proposing the appointment of a 7-member council to set an incentive program and reorganize the president. Madam Speaker, Jamaica at 29, it will signal 75 years since the island participated in its first Summer Olympic Games. To those who set the pace for what has become one of the most successful platforms for our athletes, coaches, and Jamaicans all across the world. They not only won their races and carved their names in the annals of sporting history, Jamaica finished 20th. And to date, Madam Speaker, we have 88 medals, 26 gold, 26 silver, 26 bronze. We look forward to Paris in 2024 as we keep looking at the bigger picture. Madam Speaker, that would not have been possible without the valuable contributions of successive governments of Jamaica, corporate entities, physical education teachers, coaches and support teams, parents, guardians, the community, and the many fans who travel far and wide to support some of the greatest athletes across the world. As Jamaica continues to be a world leader in sport, Madam Speaker, that background helps to place squarely on the table that sport is one of the most competitive advantage promoted to create more opportunities for all. This we will have to do much as we did for boxing. And tourism and sugar from those days when sugar was called king. We will have to do the same for sport. Based on the doctors, the psychologists, the physiotherapists, how many do we need? How many will remain on the island? How many will we train to be deployed across the region and the wider global village? Madam Speaker, how will we engage with recruiters who will meet our athletes at Gibson Relays or Boys and Girls Champs or Western Champs and other contracts with other contracts and scholarships? Who will ensure that the terms of these contracts and scholarships are in the best interest of our nationals? Madam Speaker, we must decide how much we will invest in select scholarships for placement in colleges or universities here and elsewhere, so that we protect our talent and human resources for sport. We started this journey on crafting the legislation to safeguard our youth in sport. 7 years later, Madam Minister, we're still waiting on that fundamental piece of legislation. Madam Speaker, the forecast for global sports from all the reports we have seen is that sports will continue to grow significantly for another decade at least, by an average of 9% each year. That estimated value will be over some $650 billion US as key success factors. Madam Speaker, Jamaica is in a really great place to partake in this space, but we must declare our intentions and implement what is necessary to make it happen. We must be prepared for the bigger picture. Madam Speaker, our Vision 2030 plans are clearly outlined. It spoke to strengthening the role of sport in national development by broadening opportunities for participation in recreational and competitive sports for persons of all age groups, increasing facilities for sporting events at the national community levels and school levels. We can't insist that students and our young people grow where they are planted when we know that where they are and cannot thrive on barren land. I also spoke of increasing the number of trained coaches, administrators, and other personnel, strengthening the institutions for sport education and administration, and establishing appropriate and effective policies, legislations, and regulations to promote sport participation. For the home run, Madam Speaker, I would like to propose a Sports Incentive Act, which will introduce a short-term incentive program aimed at generating an incredible amount of robust business activity to support the growth and development of this massive sector. Relative to this proposal is the development of a public sector partnership to have an incentive program which will seek to attract investors from home and abroad, and additionally will serve to incentivize the industry stakeholders right here in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, this incentives program will seek to provide a 10-year relief from GCT, income tax, and import duties available to all registered sports clubs. New clubs with up to 50 paying members or more, adding a maximum of 20 per year. Existing clubs that have done or intend to do substantial structural improvement and have a lease of 50 years or more on their clubhouses and playfields. Clubs that are engaged in community peace management initiatives. Clubs that are engaged in sustainable environmental projects. Projects like water harvesting, greenhouse technology, recycling, energy conservation. We must incentivize them to want to do more for sport. Madam Speaker, these categories I speak of, which would for the clubs, would make them eligible for any of these incentives, include equipment and supplies, apparel, footwear, educational material, purchase and or lease of any additional physical space which can be used to add value to sport, to housing or dorm facilities. The idea of the incentive, Madam Speaker, is to stimulate growth in the subsector and to attract a low to mid-income group of stakeholders. The importation of specific items free of GCT and custom duty for 5 years, utilizing the discretionary authority of the Minister of Finance and the Public Service. 5-year exemption from corporate taxes for investors in sporting attractions, utilizing the discretionary authority of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. Any investment from the private sector in the physical infrastructure towards the sports development receive the requisite tax write-offs to serve as incentive towards their investment. Madam Speaker, prior to the signing of an incentive package, of course, and I repeat, clearance must be sought from the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to the Ministry of Sport as we look at the bigger picture. One of the Vision 2030 goals is to increase the growth of sport as a business and commercial activity with potential to contribute to Jamaica's economic development and to ensure the consistent production of elite athletes who can compete at the highest level of on the international stage. Yes. Madam Speaker, our industry has a few established strengths and advantages that we have going for us. Our athletes are committed to the task of performing their best every single time. We are extremely good at attracting spectators from home and within and outside of the diaspora, as we excel in all of our sporting disciplines. Madam Speaker, the time has come. Jamaica must now engage in designing a national strategy and a business model for sports with the following objectives: increasing the talent pool, facilitating the training of technical expertise, performance, preventative care, nutrition and psychological support, marketing, creating partnerships for brand exposure, aligned with technological solutions to showcase the experience, conducted relating and relevant research with an aim to inform those who are already involved, but also to attract those who can be inspired to join the business. Madam Speaker, there should be in every town centre, in every county, a well-equipped sporting facility to give us access to all of our people across the county. This will facilitate people from across the island having access to the highest level of competition. Madam Speaker, Montego Bay is the second city, and it deserves a multi-purpose facility, first-class multi-purpose facility. And in keeping with the promises made, Catherine Hall Sports Complex must be upgraded to provide opportunities for the athletes, the fans, and the investors. We must re-energize G.C. Foster College of Sport and Physical Education. It continues to do its best with what it has. And we are seeing athletes emerging from high schools that we never saw them before. They also provide advanced training for existing technical. I am recommending those who are trained in what we designate as active sports in active communities to have the widest participation in organized and recreational activities. Healthy bodies, as they say in Cuba, healthy minds. We must re-engage. We should be facilitating dialogue and conversations through public meetings on the latest trends in sports. To have the conversation about climate change and how it will impact sport, even sport here in Jamaica and across the world. Studies have shown, Madam Speaker, that approximately half of the former Winter Olympic sports hosted in cities won't be able to hold these games by 2050 due to the lack of snow and ice. Sports can play a key role in helping to raise the awareness and influence behaviors we must act now. Madam Speaker, we have not escaped. We might not have winter sports, but extreme heat is another problem.
It's true.
And regularly staged events will have to be reconsidered as to where those venues will be held. Jamaica must now look at the bigger picture.
True.
The technological solution for a more integrated digital experience is a conversation we must facilitate. Those who are less excited about performances in the field, we must ensure that we give them an opportunity, and we must appeal to that Gen Z and that millennial base so that they can come on board in sport, doing the part of sport that they like. Madam Speaker, conferences and seminars are two most efficient ways to engage large groups. We should be seeking to go after the sports convention market by creating events to attract that segment. Here we can host business matchmaking in the areas of merchandising, media rights, and venue development. Madam Speaker, we must replenish.
Yes.
Many of those who paved the ways, we have to plan now how we will replace them. They have done great for our country, but to be sustainable, there has to be continuity. Madam Speaker, active research and development is the way forward. And we must partner with our educational institutions like UE, UTEC, GC Foster, NCU, MICO, and all who have a clear role to play. The recommendations I've made today are indeed not only practical, Madam Speaker, they are doable. They're doable. They are driven by research of proven strategies employed either by other countries or in other sectors right here in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, sports has an immense capacity for growth. A track record of success as a such sports deserves the investment. Time come to look at the bigger picture.
Yes, quite a bit. Yeah, so that's the opposition spokesperson, Natalie Nita, and well, then she was Headley before, but she is now Gavi, Natalie Nita Gavi. But you know, interesting enough, when she just started, if I didn't probably put the montage there, you would not have realized that she was the opposition spokesperson, because she came across as if she was actually the Minister of Sports, and she was speaking about the accomplishments and what they have done. And I mean, it's not bad, but I'm just saying that usually or unusual, you'll find that the opposition is just, attacking and criticizing. But in this case, she was, as they would say, bigging up, and she was highlighting the achievements of Jamaica over the years, but at the same time, suggesting what could be done to enhance the sporting product. I thought well delivered. Yeah, I thought it was well delivered, and hopefully, you know, we will see some of those things materializing for Jamaica in particular. But I thought well delivered by Nita. But again, as I was saying, the irony of all of that is that she was the sports minister 11 years ago at the time when the then sports minister, well, the sports minister now, the current sports minister, was the opposition. And basically was speaking about the same thing, about the sports policy, and they apparently they had put the green paper on hold on the eve of the Olympics, and all these sort of things, and Jamaica doesn't really have a national sports policy. I mean, they're doing well in sports, but as Nita is saying, that's Natalie is saying, that they need a holistic approach to sports and capitalizing on the benefits that can be derived from sports. Kudos, Grenada. Hopefully you can lead, although you may not have the capacity as Jamaica in terms of the resources and other things. But at least you put in something in place that at probably 5-10 years from now, when we look back, we'll say, okay, that was a good move. There is a policy in place, okay? Some countries don't have, others do have, but it's not being utilized and things like that. So some have spoken about it, but have not done anything about it as well, and so I think the important thing is getting the various stakeholders on board, okay? And in this case, we have the National Sports Council that will be, basically spearheading the development of sports, the pathway for sports and its development in Grenada. That's how do we hope to, or what do we intend? What's our intentions? What it is like for sports, 5, 10, 15 years. What is the plan for sports going forward? These are the sort of things that we need to look at, and hopefully that folks will be able to see that it was a good move, it was the right move, and we'll hope that the authorities in particular stick on it, make sure that whatever you're planning, you continue to engage the stakeholders and all those involved, or should be involved, as a matter of fact, and that hopefully I'm just saying hopefully, okay, because the hope is that we get it right, and that our kids later on will understand and will appreciate the effort that was made to ensure that we have something good. Let's say congratulations to Nazio John. Nazio John is the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association. He has been named as the Athlete of the Year. The NCAA Division I Central Region Men's Track Athlete of the Year is Nazio John. Congratulations to Nazio. This guy is just, he's a fighter. He's determined. His discipline to succeed, I think it's embodied in him, And I want to say congratulations to Nazio, his entire family, his mom and his dad in particular, that, continue to instill the discipline and the fortitude in him. And it paid off, He's the NCAA Division I Central Region Men's Athlete of the Year, Nazio John. Congratulations, young man. Congratulations once again. Nazio, no doubt, will be flying the Grenada flag in the future in terms of as a senior athlete now. He's no longer a junior athlete per se, He has the national record, and certainly is a guy who, recall speaking to him a few weeks ago, and he is determined. He wants to run the 400 meters, You know, he says, you know, he's tried the 100, tried the 200. There's no reason why he cannot run the 400. And you know, in his preparations for the season, he has run some decent times in the 400. Nazio could give you a 45. I mean, without much training, he has not concentrated in the 400, and Nazio can give you a 45 point. You know, and I'm certain if he concentrates on that, he can go into a sub 45. You know, but that's the sort of athlete that he is developing into, and I want to congratulate him for this massive achievement. Nazio John, congratulations, folks. As indicated, so we have eyes on Jamara. Sorry, I say Jamora. Jamara in the discus throw NCAA Division 1 championships, women's. The action continues later this evening, tonight, in fact. And then we also have Jonia Thomas in the women's heptathlon. 3 more events remaining. She's 390 points, 97 points away from the leader. I know it's an uphill task, but you know, a lot of things can happen. A lot of things. The 800, we have the long jump. I think there's a javelin as well. So possibilities that she can get some maximum points in these remaining events and hopefully get into the medal round. I don't know about the strength of the other competitors. I know Jonia is very strong in the long jump. So hopefully she can win that and win it big, get some points, get some good points so that it can bump her ahead. While winning and while gaining points, she also have to hope that those ahead of her don't get that many points, you know. That is the trick of it, you know. But with 3 events remaining, it could be very, very challenging. And an event like the javelin, for example, you know, you never know. Even the long jump could be a no throw, you know. No jump. The javelin, no throw. You know, all these things are possibilities. So I know she will have to be focused, and hopefully she can get into the medal round. No doubt we'll be rooting for her. We'll be rooting for Johara as well. Our 2 ladies are into competition, NCAA Division 1 championships. ESPN, it will be on ESPN for that. And then Champions League football. Let me show you one more time. Yes, let me show you again. Manchester City, okay? It's around 3 o'clock this afternoon. The Champions League final taking place. In fact, CBS is running a long feature on the Champions League. They will be showing the Champions League live. What again, as we indicated, our footballers, national football team, they will be taking on Guyana come next Saturday in Florida. And those of you in South Florida, you can probably try to get some information so you can go out and support the men's national team in their preliminaries. Yeah, against Guyana. Guyana is a very strong team. They've always been a very, very strong team. But I know, Grenada is also strong. That's what I would say. You know, a fairly decent team. Yeah, they're also strong. So we'll be supporting our teams. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Sam. Good afternoon to you, and welcome to the program. I don't know how things are in your area. What is on your menu? I assume later on track and field as per usual. I know it can be boring when there's no track and field during the day. You know, you have to wait until tonight. You know, but you can find some, event somewhere about to be entertained. You know, yeah. So for the track and field fans following the NCAA, ESPN, yes, ESPN later on. I think there's ESPN Plus in case you have it as well. Some people find it on ESPN Plus, on ESPN2, not ESPN2 in the Caribbean though. ESPN2 in the US. I don't know what it is for the Caribbean, but ESPN2 in North America brings you the NCAA final. And it's actually, today's final will be primarily the women's events, right? The women's event. Because how they had it, Is the men on one, the men compete on one day, then the women on another day. So Thursday you have the men, Friday the women, and then Saturday, well, something like that. So or Wednesday, sorry, yeah, started on Wednesday. Wednesday the men, Thursday the women, Friday the men, and then Saturday the women. They compete with the women. So last night was a wrap for the men with the 4x4, etc., etc. Today from as early as 7:30. I'm looking at the time. I believe it's Central Time because Austin, Texas is Central Time. So if it's 7:30 Central Time, it will be 8:30 Eastern Time. Okay, and it starts with the women's high jump right down to the women's 4x4 meters relay. So it's around just should be completing around 11:30 Eastern Time. Normally, yeah, that's how it goes. Very late, especially when it's on the western side. Okay, the west. So there's also the women's high jump, then followed by the discus, the 4x1 relay, and by the way, all final events, the triple jump. There is the 1,500 meters, the 3,000 meters steeplechase, 100 meters hurdles. Then you go into the 100 meters, the 400 meters, the 800 meters. Then there's the 400 meters hurdles. There's also the 200 meters, followed by the 5,000 meters. And to conclude will be the 4x400 meters relay. In between that, though, we also have the HEP. Yeah, the HEP should be taking place around. It starts as okay. So the HEP actually starts at 4 o'clock, which is 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Okay, and yeah, so the HEP with the long jump, then the javelin, then the 800 meters. They already completed the 100 meters hurdles, the high jump, the shot put, and the 200 meters. So remember, it's 7 events for the women's HEP, the 100 meters hurdles, the high jump, the shot put, 200 meters, and then we have the long jump, javelin, and the 800 meters. The 3 events remaining for today, and we, as indicated, hoping that our good friend Johnny will be Johnny actually from St. David's, so she came from St. David's Catholic Secondary School, and we have Jamora who came from Karakou, Bishop's College. So we have to support, and another reason why you realize that our athletes, from what we call quote unquote the non-traditional schools, they are making it big, right? Because who would have thought Jamora, for example, coming from Bishop's College? And I think that should be an inspiration to the other athletes at the school, that if Jamora, coming from primary school in Karakou, secondary school in Karakou, went on to Jamaica and dominated boys and girls champ in Jamaica. She's now a poster girl for the championships. If you realize, she was not competing this year, but her photo was part of the promotions for the boys and girls champs this year. And now she's into, first year into the final of the NCAA Division 1, So I think these things should be used as an inspiration. And I'm hoping that our coaches and our teachers and our principals of the various schools understand and look at these things and understand the importance that sports can make into the lives of these young people, because through sports, she's now getting an education, okay? And there's a nice twist about Jamora in terms of where she is now, because if it wasn't for the support system around Jamora, for example, she would have just quit. In fact, there was talk that she had already turned her attention away from, track and field. And there were people around her who supported her and encouraged her. And look where she is now. And certainly should be an example for others, especially the young ones in Karakou and Pidimatni. Good afternoon to you, Gordon, and good afternoon to the sport. Yes, nice. Gordon, I've been listening to some of your music, yeah, I've been listening to some of your music, man. He loves this music. Anything else I can say before I wrap it up? Yes, it has been a pleasure. Attention now will be turned to some football, Champions League football. Later on, have a little lime, whatever they say it is. Yeah, and then there's also track and field on television. Track and field. So here's a good prediction from Gordon. Looking for a good game coming up. City 3, Milan 2. My prediction, Gordon. City win, Milan loses. Yeah. Hazel, I saw a young tennis player from Caracol. I'd love to reach out to her and maybe we can do an interview. Just giving her a little time still. Spoke to, I know Sebastian and things, dealing with her and things like that. So, and she has been on the improve. Again, I want to mention Richie Hughes there because, a lot haven't been said about Richie, but Richie has been doing quite a bit of training in his outreach program. And you see how it's benefiting Karaku and even in the outer parishes. When they have the junior tennis tournaments, now we're seeing kids from St. Andrew and St. John's and now Karaku, competing in the final of tennis. They don't have a court. The main tennis court is a Tantine, So could you imagine if there's a tennis court, a proper tennis court in those outer parishes? Could you imagine? We have the talent. It's just, a lot of things that we have to put in place. But I'm happy to hear that there are plans to resurface and bring back the tennis courts in Grenada, basketball and tennis. And I saw some work already started there. That's very commendable. The tennis and basketball courts, the Grenada Sporting Complex. That would be good. They used to play a lot of tennis there. And I'm hoping that probably sometime in the future, what's about the one in Richmond Hill? I know it's private, but all these things are things that we have to look at. Thank you very, very much, folks. I need to get some frame of mind for my game, later on. But whatever you're doing, do it with some level of moderation. But continue, at least, I'm saying, continue to support in whatever way possible our sportsmen and women. Okay? Until then, I hope to see you around, hopefully next weekend. I'm not certain. I'll let you know. But until then, I want to wish you a pleasant